Good morning. Please join us in our welcoming song. You are welcome here, wherever you're going to, wherever you're coming from. You are welcome here. You are welcome here, wherever you're going to, wherever you're coming from. You are welcome here, 'cause it's a house of love, a house of hope and dreams. It's a house of love, and you are welcome here. Yes, it's a house of love, a house of hope and dreams. It's a house of love, and you are welcome here. And now in Spanish. Bienvenido aquí, yo quiero que vayas tú, yo quiero que vengas hoy. Bienvenido aquí, bienvenido aquí, yo quiero que vayas tú, yo quiero que vengas hoy. Bienvenido aquí, a este lugar de amor, de sueños de ilusión, a este lugar de amor. Bienvenido aquí, sí, a este lugar de amor, de sueños de ilusión, a este lugar de amor. Bienvenido aquí.
Welcome to Chalice Unitarian Universalist congregation. We are a community of diverse beliefs and experiences, nurturing the liberal religious spirit and united by our desire to grow in love and in service. Whoever you are, whomever you love, whatever your life's journey, you are welcome here. And whether you gather with us every Sunday, once or twice a year, or with us for this morning for the first time, or maybe it's your first time on Zoom, we are glad to have you with us. I'm Jessica Schultz, and I'll be the worship associate today. Our pulpit guest this morning is someone many of you will remember from his time spent with us a couple of years ago. It seems like only yesterday. Reverend Dr. Gregory Carrow-Boyd. Welcome back. Our worship musician this morning is my husband, John Schultz, and our song leader is our president, Laura Brown. I might as well say it. Sorry, or do you want to keep it a secret, Laura? Our tech team consists today of Jake Dijak, I hope I'm saying that right, and Dean Gadet. Our greeters are Ron Petzold and Donna Folberg. Julia Fogel will assist with worship this morning. Our minister, Reverend Sharon Wiley, is taking some well-deserved vacation time, and she'll return to the pulpit on September 1st. Welcome to our Sunday worship service to those of you here in the chapel today, and to those of you watching Zoom out there. For those of you here in the chapel, please feel free to wear masks or step outside as needed if that makes you more comfortable. Please know that if you're on the patio here, you'll be able to hear everything that's going on in the chapel. We are always delighted when newcomers join us in worship, whether in person or on Zoom. And as a newcomer, you might be interested in the many groups and activities we offer. How do you gain access to this information, you ask? By receiving our email newsletter. It comes out weekly. You online folks will receive an email invitation to join the email list after the service. And if you were in person with us today, you probably gave us your email address when you signed in. But if not, please stop by the greeter table after the service. Our weekly email has all the latest Chalice news, and I don't know about the rest of you, but I rely on it to stay informed about everything that's going on here. And now, let's take a breath together. Now we light our chalice, the symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith. I'd like to invite Margarita Hall forward to light our chalice this morning. Our chalice lighting words come from Bear W. Ulazuka, excuse me. As we light the chalice, may our souls become its hearth. We join our hearts to the one great flame of bright compassion, beloved community, and fervent justice. May we become lanterns to the world, lighting the way for all. The words of our call to worship this morning come from a lady who we're all familiar with, Reverend Tanya Marquez, who translated the word to, well, you are welcome here. It is a wonder and a mystery that our paths have crossed, that in the immensity of time and the vastness of space, we coincide here. I am in awe at the ways in which our lives intersect and intertwine, at the beauty we create when we gather. May our coming together make us more compassionate, more just, more caring, and more loving. May our hearts and minds be open to this offering. I am so glad you are here. Let us worship. Let us marvel at the miracle of being here right now and the mystery that has brought us together. Please rise in body or spirit to join in singing.
Hymn of the month, number 388 in the gray hymnal. So the hymn is Dona Nobis Pacem, and this is a hymn sung in a round. And the way we've been learning this hymn this month is The first Sunday, we learned the first section, the first kind of melody, and then last Sunday, we learned the second melody, and today, we're gonna learn the third melody. Spoiler, it's so different from the first two. And then next Sunday, the fourth Sunday, our lucky song leaders that day get to lead everybody in the round. So we're gonna have all three parts going at the same time. But today, we're gonna start by reviewing the first part and the second part, and then we're gonna stop and learn the third part, and then we're gonna sing the third part all together 3 times. I'll let you know what's going on. Okay. Dona nobis pacem, pacem. Dona nobis pacem. Second one. Dona nobis pacem. Dona nobis pacem. Okay, so that was the first 2 melodies. Now this is the third one. So, Dona nobis pacem, dona nobis pacem. So, dona nobis pacem, dona nobis pacem. Second time. Dona nobis pacem, dona nobis pacem. Last time. Dona nobis pacem, dona nobis pacem. As you return to your seats, I meant to say at the beginning that Dona nobis pacem means give us peace.
Our Sunday worship is the shared spiritual practice of our community, and we tend to the congregation during this time by sharing and honoring our joys and our sorrows. Here in the chapel, you are welcome to write your joy or sorrow onto a candle card, which will be collected from you. Online, please write your joy or sorrow, including your name, into the chat box. These joys and sorrows will be spoken out loud, and then we will remove this part of the service from the recording that goes onto our YouTube channel. So this sharing won't be publicly available anytime online. If you would like to send Reverend Sharon a confidential note about your joy or sorrow, or to make a prayer request, please email her. You'll find her email will be on the screen in just a moment. Please enjoy some music while you write down what you would like to share, so that in the sharing, your burden is lessened and your joy is multiplied. we light a final candle for all of the joys and sorrows that go unshared and unspoken this morning. These two are held in the love and support of this community. And now we invite the children and anyone else who would like to come forward for a story.
This morning's Time for All Ages is more of an activity than it's a story, so I need us all to get on our imagination caps. Can we do that? All right. We're going to play a game of Let's Pretend. All right? So I want everyone to imagine that we're on a television game show. All right? And on this game of Let's Pretend, we have to choose between door number 1 and door number 2. If we choose door number 1, we and our entire family get $1 million. If we choose door number 2, our 10 closest neighbors and their families each get $1 million, but our family doesn't get $1 million. And just so we're crystal clear, your neighbors cannot share any of their winnings with you, okay? So we have to decide on this game, door number 1, become instant millionaires, or door number 2, our neighbors become instant millionaires, but we cannot. I want you to think about which door you would choose. But before you share your responses, and I am going to call on volunteers in just a moment, I want you to think about why you would choose door number 1 or why you would choose door number 2. Let's take a moment. Would anyone like to share a response to why they would choose door number 1 or why they would choose door number 2? I see a hand all the way in the back here. Go ahead.
I would choose door number 1 because I don't really like our neighbors.
This person would choose door number 1 because they don't really like their neighbors. Does anyone here not always like their neighbors? Absolutely. Go right ahead.
I was going to say all my neighbors have Trump signs on their lawns.
So Kathleen would choose door number 1 because her neighbors don't necessarily share the same values. They have Trump signs, and that's not something she thinks that we can support. Who has another reason? Go ahead.
I'm going to be different. I'll try to speak up. I'll take it.
Oh, no, you're fine.
It's okay. I would pick door number 2, that my neighbors would get $1 million, because we're comfortable, I'm happy, and my neighbors, some of them might be Trump supporters, I don't know, but I have neighbors that have family, children that are differently able, and they're having trouble, and I want to help them, and if I help them, they'll be able to do things to fix up their house, which fix up our whole neighborhood, and it just will make us closer together, and also, make us more of a community, which is something I really enjoy.
Absolutely. So we choose door number 2 out of compassion. Sometimes we have enough resources and the people around us need more to share. Absolutely.
I choose door number 2, not because I'm not broke, but I'm also almost 91, so I don't need $1 million at the moment. So I would like to see the neighbors who probably are younger and could use it longer.
All right. So sometimes where we are generationally changes what decision we would make. If we're not going to use $1 million anytime soon, it might be a good idea to share that. I'm going to take one more hand in the back, and then I'm going to invite some young people to share. Go ahead.
Well, I really wanted to take door number 1, but I would take door number 2 because it's $10 million versus $1 million.
Exactly. Choose door number 2 because that's more resources. 10 times 1 million is $10 million as opposed to just 1 million for one family. I have enough for one more response. Would anyone else like to share? Okay. So when we're considering the why we do things, when we're considering how we live out our values, we're talking about ethics. All right, we're talking about ethics, putting our values into practice. Sometimes there is spiritual guidance around ethics. For example, the golden rule, do unto others as you would have them do unto you, or even the platinum rule, do unto others as they would have them done unto themselves. So treat people the way they want to be treated, right? A little bit simpler. How would the platinum rule inform whether we chose door number 1 or door number 2? In Unitarian Universalist congregations, it's important that we keep asking ourselves the why we make decisions. Sometimes the wondering that we do, the questions, the comments, the concerns are actually more important than the final decision that we make. So on this game of let's pretend, whether we chose door number 1 or door number 2 is far less important than whether the decision we make is informed by the values we share. As we sing our children off to their religious education classes, our wondering continues.
On your path with a song so sweet that everywhere you go there is love all around. Walk on your path with a song so sweet that everywhere you go there is love all around.
So a little bit about our game show host, our guest minister today. So Reverend Dr. Gregg previously served as our sabbatical minister from August to October 2022, before starting his current position as Minister of Religious Education at the First Unitarian Church of Honolulu, Hawaii. Yeah. Don't feel too sorry for him, folks. I know he wishes he was back here in Escondido permanently, but I'm here. He loves dancing, going to the movies, and spending time with the special young people in his life. And this is a reading that he asked me to share with you today. It's by Nathan C. Walker. For centuries, insiders have been democratizing their religions. Incremental moments of institutional reform have led to a new era of theological enlightenment. From out of ancient times into the twilight of now, these reformers have made a sacred vow to never mischaracterize freedom as a zero-sum game. True freedom is not jealous. True freedom is not envious. True freedom is not spiteful. True freedom does not desire to restrict the rights of others. True freedom knows not a selfish thought, knows not how to threaten. To sense true freedom is to know that your win is my glory and that your suffering is inextricably tied to my own. For the sum of all that is holy shines far beyond the tools of our evolving democracy, from party jingles to picket signs. The sum of all that is holy is found in our collective desire to know freedom not as a political slogan, but as a way of life.
So first of all, it is such a blessing and a joy to be back here with all of you. I've been eagerly awaiting this opportunity for weeks after Reverend Sharon invited me back. It's so lovely to see all of your faces. Now, in addition to what Jessica shared in my brief bio, I'm not sure all of you know just how much I love game shows. I can remember a time way back, or maybe not so way back, when every time we had a school holiday, I couldn't wait to watch daytime television, especially The Price is Right. I grew up in central Pennsylvania. It is recorded in Culver City, just outside of LA. And because of that, it created this encyclopedic knowledge of grocery store prices in Southern California. I knew everything from the price of a Ritz box to how much the Brillo went for, because you had to win those pricing games without going over to the nearest dollar. I loved The Price is Right. I loved Wheel of Fortune. I loved Jeopardy. These games are important to us. Game shows have been around for quite a long time, originating on the radio and television around the same time, as early as the 1930s. The reason they're so important is they teach us something about sharing. Games always teach us values about how we're supposed to be in community. They teach us whether we're supposed to win individually, collectively, whether the object is to win against the game or win against one another. These are important things, and in these ways, they also teach us American values. Some of the earliest game shows were actually not that inventive. The first one I was able to find was called Spelling Bee, which, like its name suggests, was simply a spelling bee on the radio. It eventually started to air on broadcast television, but they only made about 5 episodes because an adult spelling bee that runs about 20 minutes is not all that interesting. That brings us to the era of quiz shows. So there was a great show called Information Please, where there were cash prizes for people to submit questions to a panel of celebrity experts who, like they were the information desk on the other side of the telephone, had to see if they could come up with answers. You got some money for submitting the question. You got more money if the panel wasn't able to answer the question. And if it were particularly sultry, you even won a complete Encyclopedia Britannica. That brought us to the 1950s, where game shows really peaked in popularity, but it also gave us the quiz show scandal of that time, because it turned out that most of those shows were scripted, they were lying, they would coach the contestants on how to do these things. We know that game shows are important distributions or distributors of American values, because as a result of that, Congress passed new laws about deceptive practices in game shows. The FCC regulates what you're actually allowed to communicate through a game show. This is how important fair play is to us as people who live in the United States. There are several different types of game shows, and this is hardly an exhaustive list. I talked a little bit about the panel show. Celebrity panel tries to answer some questions, think a Match Game or sometimes Hollywood Squares, that type of thing. There are also trivia shows. Those are kind of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, Jeopardy, those types of things. Word games, Wheel of Fortune, physical competition, American Gladiator, or some type of other competition where you actually have to defeat other people through your physical prowess, American Ninja Warrior, that type of thing. And then there are also performance, or I like to call them reality competition shows. So think American Idol, The Voice, The Greatest Race, that type of thing. Each of these types of shows tries to transmit a specific value. And unfortunately, as UU, some of those values are in tension with the ones that we share, as recorded in Article 2, the statement of shared values that we have as Unitarian Universalists nationally through our Unitarian Universalist Association. Now, I'm going to get into this, and I just want to preface this because I think it's important. I do not believe that most of you turn to game shows for your values in the world. The simple point is that game show values do exist in our world, and so we have to address them. We have to navigate them because there are values sometimes that other people are turning to, values that people use in order to make informed decisions and have ethical consequences when we're not sharing the values that they teach. So I start with Jeopardy, which is a trivia-style game show, and it seems that the underlying value of that show is that hazarding a guess is better than missing an opportunity for success. I was on my high school's trivia team, and so I understand that you don't usually know the answers to most of the questions that you're being asked. It is actually very difficult for all of us to have lots and lots of knowledge about any language or historical period, but you can usually make an educated guess. You can get down to 2 or 3 presidents. You remember a specific historical consequence. You know some simple things like whether the power of pi to the e is greater than e to the pi. You can do all sorts of things like that. But it creates a tension for us as UUs when we're just hazarding guesses, when we're deciding to take action without first reflecting on what the consequences might be. When we're deciding to take action instead of figuring out whether there is someone better who could take that action, whether there is someone who is more directly impacted, who might have an understanding of the ways that we can do things the same, differently, or even with just a little bit more oomph. The tension for us is an interdependence, that we honor the interdependent web of all existence, and with reverence for the great web of life and with humility, we acknowledge our place in it. With humility, we acknowledge our place in it. That's the tension right there. Jeopardy teaches us not to engage in cultural humility, because if we don't guess, we don't win. We're not there to win with all of the other contestants on the show. And as a matter of fact, if we guess wrong, we get penalized heavily. You lose money. You can go up and down in that show. But it doesn't encourage us to be humble. It doesn't give us the opportunity to reflect on, what if I just didn't answer this time? The consequences are too severe on Jeopardy, and they're just as severe in our regular human life. But it's flipped. It's flipped. We have to figure out how to invite people in. We have to figure out how to ask for the help that we need. The consequence when we don't is failure to build community, failure to acknowledge our interdependence, and even more severely, to think that we're truly exceptional instead of folks who have been handed a certain set of conditions in a certain time and are going to do the best with what we have, which is one another. A puzzle game that I like, as we discussed right at the top of this, is The Price is Right. And there are many values that might be in tension with The Price is Right, none more than the capitalist underpinnings, right? That, anything, you can buy anything. But the one that I want to focus in on with The Price is Right is that more is better. At each stage in the game, there's ways to win more and more and more. First, you're called down for the showcase. You're in contestants' row. You can guess the price of the item that you're naming, and if you name it right on the price point, you get extra money. If you're within a certain range, you get more money. If you do well on your pricing game, you make it to the showcase showdown. Every time you can win more. You can just win more. if you make it to the final showcase, and I've only seen this happen about 3 or 4 times in my nearly 40 years of watching this show. Did you know that if you're within $200 of your own showcase, you win the other one too? Yes. The Price is Right teaches us that more is better. And of course, just like our Time for All Ages earlier, one of the issues is the tension around generosity that we share as UUs, that we cultivate a spirit of gratitude and hope, that we covenant to freely and compassionately share our faith, presence, and resources. Our generosity connects us to one another in relationships of interdependence and mutuality. And so in a winner-takes-all system like The Price is Right, what are you going to do with all that stuff? How many new cars do you need? It depreciates in value as soon as you leave the showcase. You know that, right? We have to figure out ways of sharing our resources of time, talent, and treasure. This is far beyond cash. But there's a tension right there because the goal is to win all that you can. How much is enough? How much are you willing to give in order to get the values of being in community? This is why we sing after we have our candle cards. From you I receive, to you I give. It's an appreciationship of that mutuality, of that network of mutuality, as Reverend Dr. King called it, of a generosity that we can cultivate together by sharing our resources, by sharing our compassion for one another, by understanding that, yeah, you can have enough. And sometimes what enough is highly contextual. And we have to figure out what that's going to be for us. And then, of course, I would be remiss without talking about the newest development in game shows, which are, of course, reality competition shows. So, again, I named kind of The Greatest Race, but we also have Survivor, Big Brother, The Apprentice, shows like this, which teach us that individual performance is more important than teamwork. Even if those shows sometimes begin with you being on a team, ultimately there can only be one victor, all right? It didn't work in the Highlander, it doesn't work for us either. But the value and tension there for us as UUs, of course, is that of pluralism. That we celebrate that we are all sacred beings, diverse in culture, experience, and theology. We covenant to learn from one another in our free and responsible search for truth and meaning. We embrace our differences and commonalities with love or compassion, curiosity, and respect. Pluralism helps us understand that our perspective is widened when we engage more people in the process of seeking out knowledge, when we engage more people in the process of seeking out the spirit that some people call God. It's more important that we share what we're learning together so that we can get more together. None of us individually has all of the resources, has all of the knowledge, has all of the lived experience to truly know what meaning we're supposed to be making of this life that can only be lived shared. And of course, one of the things that is most painful about reality competition is that it teaches us that if we're entertaining enough, that skill alone qualifies us for leadership or elected office. Now hear me out. Certainly being charismatic is a great skill that can allow one to use soft power instead of always having to lead by dictate. But being entertaining all on its own without any further discernment about what a community, what a nation, what a community of communities, a world full of nations needs is not a valid way to determine who our leaders are. It's not a good way to make that distinction, to make that determination when all of our lives depend on it. And so it becomes clear that our sacred task as a congregation, as Unitarian Universalist congregations in association, is to ask the questions about why we do what we do. Nate Walker told us that we can never mischaracterize freedom as a zero-sum game, and then he follows that up with a litany on what true freedom entails. We understand by looking at the values in tension in reality competition, in puzzle shows, in trivia shows, that real life is more complicated than these rules. Real life is more complicated than the objectives of these games, and that there's something so compelling about these values that the game shows teach, again, that we have to regulate how we even communicate them. It's at that level of mass communication that game shows exist. And so there are a couple things that we can do to help us out, right? We can still have fun watching game shows. Please, please, please do that. I'm not going to stop watching The Price is Right anytime soon. It's important to know the price of groceries in Southern California. Everyone knows that. But we can remember to problematize our viewing, right? We can remember that they're teaching us a certain set of values, that the goal is a certain objective. Game shows are not a way of life. They are not a way of life. Winning is not the only goal. We don't win at lived experience when all is said and done. It's also extremely important that we help the young people in our lives, as well as those new to our religious communities, understand where the tensions in broadly communicated values might exist with those that we share as Unitarian Universalists. As a matter of fact, this is always the work of a congregation, to bring in new people, acculturate them to the ways that we do things, and be willing to be changed in the process of doing so. That's how our values grow and change in the same way that our living tradition does. And we can even remember that having the ability to analyze these shows for their values that are in conflict can be its own game, can be its own reward. When you finally gain the analytical tools, being able to apply something that you've just learned for the first time can be really exciting, or maybe even to see the joy on someone's face who is gaining that insight for the very first time. Maybe what you get out of, I don't know, a dating competition show where people seem to be making really bad choices, and I hope no one ever dates that person, right? Is you can see their toxic relationship traits and remember that we can teach better ones so that we can be in community in a way that works for all of us. I'm talking about Love is Blind, in case that wasn't clear. But again, it's important that we remember the sum of all that is holy, as Nate Walker says, is found in our collective desire to know freedom, not as a political slogan, but as a way of life. Game shows are important to who we are as Americans, and they're even important to us as Unitarian Universalists because they help us understand the ways that people are learning values and the ways that we can be just as compelling in sharing our own. And the stakes are high, as they always have been, both for winning these game shows and for getting our UU values out in the public square. So we need to do our best. We need to work together. We need to understand and deepen and grow in our values. But as for right now, I'm going to invite you to come on down. The values are here for the living, the ethics are here for the sharing, all here at the fabulous Chalice Unitarian Universalist congregation. Seated or standing, please lift your voices in song for hymn number 354, 354, We Laugh, We Cry.
We laugh, we cry, we live, we die, we dance, we sing our song. We need to feel there's something here to which we can belong. We need to feel the freedom just to have some time alone. But most of all, we need close friends we can call our very own. And we believe in life and in the strength of love. And we have found our need to be together. We have our hearts to give, we have our thoughts to receive, and we believe that sharing is an answer. A child is born among us, and we feel a special glow. We see time's endless journey as we watch the baby grow. We thrill to hear imagination freely running wild. We dedicate our minds and hearts to the spirit of this child, and we believe in life and in the strength of love. And we have found a time to be together, and with the grace of age we share the wonder of youth. And we believe that growing is an answer. Our lives are full of wonder, and our time is very brief. The death of one among us fills us all with pain and grief. But as we live, so shall we die, and when our lives are done, the memory we shared with friends will linger on, and we believe in life and in the strength of love. And we have found a place to be together. We have the right to grow. We have the gift to believe that peace within our living is an answer. We seek elusive answers to the questions of this life. We seek to put an end to all the waste of human strife. We search for truth, equality, and blessed peace of mind. And then we come together here to make sense of what we find. And we believe in life and in the strength of love. And we have found our joy being together. And in our search for peace, maybe we'll finally see, even to question truly is an answer.
Please.
Thank you very much. That was wonderful. The Sunday offering is an expression of the generosity that makes our congregational life possible. Fred Rogers, in his book, The World According to Mr. Rogers, said, all of us at some time or other need help. Whether we're giving or receiving help, each one of us has something valuable to bring to this world. That's one of the things that connects us as neighbors in our own way. Each one of us is a giver and a receiver. We encourage you to text your donation to Chalice if you haven't texted a donation before. Once you text the amount, you'll get a reply with a link to enter your card information. And be sure that if your Sunday donation is part of your pledge, to say pledge afterwards. The phone number for text donations will be on the screen in a moment. If you prefer to make an in-person donation of cash or a check the old-fashioned way, my favorite way, there is a box right next to the double door. Don't tell anybody. You can leave those donations after the service. Please give generously. Join in dedicating our offering with the words of affirmation. At Chalice UU congregation, our mission is to connect through worship, music, learning, and caring ministries.
Good morning. I forgot to tell the tech group that I was going to say a couple words. Sorry about that. Hopefully they can communicate somehow with the people online. Reverend Dr. Gregg suggested that maybe some game show theme songs would be good to play during the service. So we're going to attempt that. There's going to be 3, and 2 are going to be super easy, especially I think for Reverend Dr. Gregg. But if when you think you know which game show the theme song is from, please raise your hand, okay? And then we'll stop at some time and call on you and see if that's the correct answer, okay? last one, you might never get, okay? So,
Can you give the instructions again, not to yell out the answer, but just raise your hand?
just raise your hand. That's right, that's right. But I called on Dr. Gray, Reverend Dr. Gray that time, so it's all right. So this one is going to be a little bit easier, I think, for you. So in this one, when you know the answer, just start clapping along, okay? That might be better. All right, thank you very much. I was wondering why Laura wasn't clapping.
I'm so lucky I won't have to hear these songs anymore. And now, on a more serious note. These are words of meditation written by Leslie Takahashi Morris. Walk the maze within your heart. Guide your steps into its questioning curves. This labyrinth is a puzzle leading you deeper into your own truth. Listen in the twists and turns. Listen in the openness within all searching. Listen. A wisdom within you calls to a wisdom beyond you, and in that dialogue lies peace. Please rise in body and spirit to join in singing.
Morning.
We are building a new way. We are building a new way. We are building a new way, feeling stronger every day. We are building a new way. We are working to be free. We are working to be free. We are working to be free. Hate and greed and jealousy. We are working to be free. We can feed our every need. We can feed our every need. We can feed our every need. Start with love, that is the seed. We can feed our every need. Peace and freedom is our cry. Peace and freedom is our cry. Peace and freedom is our cry. Without these, this world would die. Peace and freedom is our cry. Please be seated.
Our closing words today come from Beth Weinicke. May we leave this place seeking an uncharted and freely chosen way to wholeness, knowing we have companions along the way. Love and blessings to each of you. You are invited to close our time together by singing The Well. And after our closing hymn, please return to your seats for a quick announcement.
Drink from the well together, cool, cool water that quenches my thirst. Thirst for justice, thirst for joy, thirst for a love that we're all a part of. We drink from the well. Drink from the well together. Hand in hand we are standing as one, standing for justice, standing for joy, stand for a love that we're all a part of. We drink from the well. Open the doors to the world outside, spirits renewed from within. Look for the dream in each other's eyes, spark where a new world begins. Yes, we drink from the well together. Heart to heart we are dancing as one, dancing for justice, dancing for joy, dance for a love that we're all a part of. We drink from the well, spirits renewed. Drink from the well, stand hand in hand. Drink from the well, dancing for joy. I feel my heart swell. We drink from the
Yeah, go ahead. And then, and after that, we have Steve. Is Steve here? Oh, okay, great.
I'm going to pop in very quickly. My name's Amber Vlasnik, for those of you I have not met yet. I'm in the back row thinking, how do I gamify the announcement I'm just adding here? Which is like, we are doing an annual caller campaign. You can come on down, and behind door number 1, 2, 3, or 4 phone calls might be your new Chalice best friend. I would really love some help, because I need about 10 more folks who want to pick up the phone in the first few weeks of September and just call someone, say, how you doing? Do you have any questions about Chalice? And give a few Chalice reminders. You're not asking them to do anything or to give anything other than to say hello and invite them to come to our special service at the end of September, the water ritual. Yes, okay, talk to me on the patio, please. I'll go put my name tag on, but thank you so much for considering. I need about 10 more people, please. 4 calls, then I don't have to do 40.
Steve, come on down.
Hi, I'm Steve, and we're very, very grateful to Dean and Kathleen and all the leadership here for inviting us to have our Life Dojo here at UU. And this announces a message for parents, but any of you are very, very welcome to come and hear how we are doing our best to share your values here at UU with a couple of dozen kids every week. And also, if you'd like to come and tell us how we could do a better job doing that, we would love your help. So thank you very much. Just join us whenever you're ready. Thank you. Thanks.
Our social hour will begin in a few minutes online and at the same Zoom link. You don't need to leave, and in person in our courtyard. Those of you here in person might want to bring your refreshments into the green room and have a visit with our online congregants. Reverend Dr. Greg and I will look forward to greeting you outside the chapel doors to hear how the service was meaningful for you and probably to hear about your favorite game show. Enjoy the beautiful day.